Last year, I did Seth Godin's AltMBA leadership course, and here are a few of my takeaways. To put some context around my takeaways, the reason why I took up the AltMBA to begin with was because I felt like I needed a bit of a circuit breaker, something to change my state of mind and potentially refresh how I saw marketing in general, as well as the role that a leader plays within a business. And having followed Seth Godin's work for a long period of time, I felt like this was a good course for me to undertake and see what it could bring me, both in terms of a marketing person, but also a leader. The first thing to note is that I found it highly beneficial. The subjects and the study matter that we undertook, while a little unorthodox, was something that I definitely needed in order to, reinvigorate my motivation for being a marketing person and bringing marketing services to the marketplace. It also taught me a few things about where my limitations are, which I hadn't considered previously, which also helped me understand why certain aspects of being a business leader and a leader in general frustrate me, despite the fact that I felt like I was fairly strong in these areas. So overall, I felt like it was a good undertaking for me to expose myself to, and I was very glad I did it. In terms of whether or not it's good value for money, that's largely going to come down to the size of your training budget. If you've got an abundance of cash in a training budget somewhere, it's really not going to be that much of an expense for somebody to go and do the 4 to 6 week course that the AltMBA runs for. But equally, if you're a small business and you don't really have a training budget at all, any outlay is going to be expensive. So I guess it's just a relative thing that is difficult to identify or to put a definitive objective result on. In terms of who it's for, all of the study material is based around group work. So we got to spend a lot of time with other people, whether they were, in my case, based in Australia or whether they were overseas, which was awesome in itself to be able to collaborate with people who you'd never met and potentially coming from areas of the world where you've never been. So that was really interesting in itself. But it did seem like the majority of the people that I was working with were in a similar situation to me, in that they were looking for a nudge or a boost or something that was going to change the way that they were thinking, or potentially if they'd fallen into a funk and were looking for a way to get out of it, they were utilizing this particular program for that. It didn't seem to me like there were too many people in the AltMBA who had a very specific direction they were looking to pursue and were looking at the AltMBA as a way to get there. It seemed like more of a crossroads type exercise that people were undertaking, either to validate something that they were investigating or to be able to help them make a decision between a number of alternatives. The only grievance I really had, and this generally goes for most training or education experiences, is that we learned these amazing skills that were relevant while we were studying, but then there's no follow-up or check-in at any point, potentially 2 weeks or 4 weeks later, to almost refresh what you've learned so that they become more habitual. And I know that as students, we can have the discipline to go back through and self-study and that kind of thing to refresh what we've learned. But I just feel like in this case, and potentially across a number of different education and training, having a follow-up within a number of weeks after the conclusion would be very useful to those who attend. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about the AltMBA that you would like me to answer, by all means leave a comment and I'll get back to you.